at this conference, one of the film crews went up to the Dalai Lama, a reporter with his big microphone and the whole video camera thing and so forth, to interview him for one of the television stations, and said, you had a book on the New York Times bestseller list for a year and a half called The Art of Happiness. You're known to be someone who is, a proponent of happiness, even in spite of the tragedies of Tibet and so forth. And could you tell our viewers, please, what was the happiest time in your life? It's a perfect television question. What's the happiest moment in your life? And the Dalai Lama got a little twinkle in his eye, and he looked back and he said, I think now. Because it's now or never, actually. It is. And the instructions from the Buddha, when we remember who we are, is not that you be loyal to your suffering, but that you rest in the heart of wisdom and compassion or love. He says, live in joy, in love, even among those who hate. It's possible. Live in joy and health even among the afflicted. Live in joy and peace even among the troubled. Look within, be still, free from fear and attachment. Know the sweet joy of living in the way. And this is really what changes the world. The world doesn't need more oil, and it doesn't need more energy, and it doesn't need more food. There are grain elevators full of food, and there are starving people. What it needs is less greed, less fear, one person to another, one tribe to another, one race to one religion to another. It needs less greed and hatred and fear. It needs more understanding. And it's that which transforms us in our life, in our families and communities, and in the world at large. And it's radical and completely wonderful. I have all these other stories, but I'll just tell one to end. A poem which I read a few weeks ago, but it happens to be one of my latest favorites. So, again, by this Palestinian poet, Naomi Shihab Nye, called Wandering Around an Albuquerque Airport Terminal. And I've been flying a bunch to different retreats in the last weeks, and ended up the last trip I took spending 2 different nights at a hotel at the Atlanta airport because the flights were delayed and so forth. Seems to be becoming more the way one travels on airlines these days. A little more unexpected. So you better relax. Oh, you could be uptight, but it's not going to help. So, quieting the mind, opening the heart, remembering who we really are, and then from this, living in a different way. After learning my flight was detained 4 hours, I heard the announcement. If anyone in the vicinity of Gate 4A understands any Arabic, please come to the gate immediately. Well, one pauses these days. But Gate 4A was my own gate, so I went there. An older woman in full traditional Palestinian dress, just like my grandma wore, was crumpled to the floor, wailing loudly. "Help," said the flight service person. "Talk to her. What's her problem?" We told her the flight was going to be 4 hours late, and she did this. I put my arm around her and spoke to her haltingly. "Shudoa, shu biduk, habibti, stani shwe mi fadlik." The minute she heard any word she knew, however poor my Arabic, she stopped crying. She thought our flight had been canceled entirely. She needed to be in El Paso for some major medical treatment the following day. I said, No, we're fine. You'll get there, just late." "Who's picking you up? Let's call him and tell him." We called her son, and I spoke with him in English. I told him I would stay with his mother till we got on the plane and would ride next to her, Southwest. She talked to him. Then we called her other sons, just for the fun of it. Then we called my dad, and he and she spoke for a while in Arabic and found out, of course, they had 10 shared friends. And then I thought, just for the heck of it, why not call some Palestinian poets I know and let them chat with her? This all took about 2 hours. She was laughing a lot by then, telling about her life, answering questions. She had pulled a sack of homemade mamoul cookies, little powdered, sugary, crumbly mounds stuffed with dates and nuts out of her bag, and was offering them to all the people at the gate. To my amazement, not a single person declined. It was like a sacrament. The traveler from Argentina, the traveler from California, the lovely woman from Laredo, we were all covered with the same powdered sugar and smiling. There are no better cookies. And then the airline broke out free beverages from huge coolers. And I noticed my new best friend, by now we were holding hands, had a potted plant poking out of her bag, some medicinal thing with green furry leaves. Such an old country traveling tradition. Always carry a plant. Always stay rooted somewhere. And I looked around that gate of late and weary ones and thought, this is the world I want to live in, the shared world. Not a single person in this gate, once the crying of confusion stopped, has seemed apprehensive about any other person. They all took the cookies. I wanted to hug these other people too. This can still happen anywhere. Not everything is lost.